And with that, good morning and welcome to Unity Church. And Carol, come on up as the platform assistant.
I need two hats on today. I need a hat and another hat. Good morning, Unity Church in Albany. And for our opening prayer this morning, you'll notice the musicians have stayed in their places. Almost, except for me. When I thought about what the opening prayer should be for this morning, I knew that Reverend Steve was going to be talking about prayer. And one of the things that the musicians, the music team often talks about is the fact that we are so busy singing the words that we don't always listen to them. And so I thought we would listen to some words of a song about prayer. Let's just take a moment. From the moment that I wake up till I go to sleep at night, I offer up my words and works and bring them to the light. Let me feel the power through which we all unite, and let my life be prayer. Take the song that I am singing, I offer it to you. The words that I am thinking, may they express anew that you are the inspiration of everything I do, and let my life be prayer. I do not need to worry, though I know that cares will come. I do not need to hurry if I know thy will be done. I just need to trust, and in that faith walk on, and let my life be prayer. Let my life be prayer. Oh, let my life be prayer. Oh, let my life be prayer. Surely you will see me through. Thank you, guys. So here we are, and here I am in a different position than I normally am. So we're going to start with the mission of Unity Church in Albany together, please. The mission of Unity Church in Albany is to awaken to and embrace the divine essence of all beings through prayer and service. And our vision statement. We celebrate oneness with Spirit and with the divine nature of all. So as the theme is today, but as you know in general, we are a praying church. And so there are lots of opportunities to pray. You can pray with the Unity Albany Prayer Chaplains. The phone number and the email address are up there. Or you can also call Silent Unity any time of the day or night. They are always there. Or you can go online, and links to everything is in the newsletter as well. Okay. And what's happening at Unity? There is a lot happening at Unity. And so coming up next week is Father's Day. And if you have any pictures of your father or yourself with your father that you haven't already sent to us, please email them to us at office@unityalbany.org so that we can do a slideshow like we did for Mother's Day. And you should have received by email an announcement about the reopening survey. And we really need your input about this as we start to move forward towards being back in the sanctuary. And so please fill out that survey. The link is in the newsletter. Is that correct, Roger? Yeah. And please fill it out. And we'd like to have your responses by June 17th, which, guess what, is this coming Wednesday. So please go and do that so that we can get your input about reopening the sanctuary to having folks come back. Speaking of the sanctuary, I don't know if you guys can see this, but as Heather mentioned last week or the week before, the first 2 rows of pews have been removed. And the spaciousness feeling in here is quite amazing. And we can be a little further apart, which is very comforting to us. So we're grateful for that change. It's pretty amazing. The Sunday Fellowship today at 11:30 on Zoom, and the link is in the newsletter, and I personally will be your host today. You're seeing a lot of me today, so I'm going to be hosting the fellowship gathering today. And starting a new book club on Monday nights, beginning Monday, June 29th, so that's still a couple of weeks away, and doing the book Unity, A Quest for Truth by Eric Butterworth. And again, that's by Zoom, so there's a link for that. And we already are continuing with our weekly Zoom sessions on Tuesdays at noon. And you're welcome to join that fellowship. And also the prayer team is doing the Thursday morning prayer hour at 9 a.m. on Thursday mornings. And Patricia Hunt Perry and others are continuing on a discussion of walking each other home, grief, and beyond in the time of COVID. And it's continuing on Thursdays, this Thursday and next Thursday at from 1 to 2:30 on Zoom. What would we do without Zoom? And this evening, yay, the return of the One Song service comes back tonight at 7 o'clock. Going to be live streaming on YouTube. It's Roger and Elizabeth and Pete and Sarah. Awesome. Okay. Another class starting on June 24th. So Steve is standing up, so I'm guessing he wants to say something about this.
Yes. Good morning. And Carol, it's so good to see you in so many different roles around here. I mean, you're hearing you and seeing you, so thank you. As you know, we're in transition time in so many ways at Unity Church in Albany, and one of the transition activities that is now starting is going to be this Eye of the Storm class. It's a classic book written by Reverend Gerri, a Unity minister, and it has made the rounds of most Unity ministries on the planet. And it's really a way of looking at how can we use spiritual principles in riding through, going through, growing through the time of conflict, embracing it, and creating peace instead. It's a very, very powerful experience. So we have 5 Wednesdays starting the 24th, 7 o'clock. So I look forward to that.
Okay. And we just want to, again, thank you for continuing to support Unity Church in Albany. There's, if you probably already know, but I'll tell you again, different ways to donate through PayPal. You can also mail a check to the church's address at 21 King Avenue. But PayPal, you can go through our website at unityalbany.org. And finally is the daily word. And the daily word for today is divine order. Divine order is always unfolding in my life and in the world. As spring ripens into summer each year, new leaves transform bare trees into canopies of green. Tiny seedlings grow into sturdy plants and decorate the landscape with an array of colorful blossoms. I marvel at the divine order demonstrated as the earth renews itself. I recognize that even as the earth appeared barren in wintertime, new life was preparing to spring forth. I notice this pattern in my life. I may be demonstrating visible growth in my life, or, like the earth in winter, it may seem that my life is stagnant and barren. I remember that as the seasons of nature change, so do the seasons of my life. Even when it is not apparent to me, I know that divine order is always unfolding in my life and in the world. And from Mark chapter 4, verse 28, the earth produces of itself first the stalk, then the head, then the full grain in the head. Divine order is always unfolding in my life and in the world. And so it is.
There's a comforting song to do at the beginning of the service. We know that many of you out there are hurting. Let's face it. We all are to one degree or another. And so we offer this as a prayer for each of us, for all of us, to feel God's comfort in the midst of grief, in the midst of difficulty. Whatever my God ordains is right, His holy will abides. I will be still, whatever He does, follow where He guides. Sweet comfort, sweet comfort, yet shall fill my heart. Sweet comfort, sweet comfort, sorrow shall depart.
Whatever my God ordains is right. She makes my feet to stand. Though sorrow, need, or death be mine, she holds me in her hand.
Sweet comfort, sweet comfort, yet shall fill my heart. Sweet comfort, sweet comfort, sorrow shall depart.
This bitter cup, I take it, my fainting heart restore. So here I stand unshaken, I trust upon the Lord.
Sweet comfort, sweet comfort, yet shall fill my heart. Sweet comfort, sweet comfort, sorrow shall depart.
You are my God, though dark my road. You lead me, I shall not fall. Whatever my God ordains is right. To God I leave it all.
Sweet comfort, sweet comfort, yet shall fill my heart. Sweet comfort, sweet comfort, sorrow shall depart. Sorrow shall depart. Sorrow shall depart.
Beautiful, beautiful. So appropriate. Sweet comfort. Sorrow shall depart. How are you doing with a belief in oneness this week, this past week? How are you doing right now? It's challenging, is it not, to move away from experiences of separation in the human form and considering even oneness. Last week I was attending a protest, did not have a sign, and I was standing pretty much apart from the main crowd and feeling centered mostly, and saying a few affirmations of oneness, of love extending, and so on and so on. And pretty soon I noticed a gentleman coming over this way that had his own recording device and a microphone, external microphone, and he was interviewing people. And I was hoping he wouldn't come to me, you know. But then he came sort of in front of me, but then there were some other people. These were some folks that had on T-shirts that they were also had their own smartphones, and they were there to, as necessary, take some photos for whatever might unfold. And they had been drawn. Apparently, they're pointing at this camera person, this guy, and I don't know what he said or anything about that. But one guy he was sort of the leader of these folks they were sort of watching out for something, started talking with him, and I didn't hear all the words, but I could hear the tone, and it began to escalate. And I found my energy escalating too. And what do you do at that point? I know what I did is I was paying attention to how I was feeling. I was putting my mind in my heart, and I was looking at each person that I could see in that dialogue, and people around him were getting themselves enrolled in that conversation, whatever it was, making the camera person wrong, and the cameraman was being fairly defensive. So is this a new scene in your life or on TV? No, it's not. It's real. And so it was going on, and I finally decided that, well, I've done what I can do right here. And I certainly wasn't going to intervene and say, hey, I'm a elder, old, a minister. No, I wasn't going to do that. I watched my thoughts, and I was just sending them love, and I was saying, well, I trust, I see that there's something that is seeking expression that I'm not hearing right now in this drama. And that was okay with me. And I said, I'm just releasing it. And I began to walk away. And then there was one of the members of she had her camera on, and they all had similar T-shirts. And I stopped with her, and I said, hi, how is this going for you? And she said, well, it's really been very, very tense. And I said, oh, I can see that. And seems like you're doing rather well with it, though. And she was looking rather peaceful. And we had a little dialogue. And then I walked away. And that was that. Thoughts came to me that beyond my awareness, everyone there is a brother and sister. We're all one. And the power of Christ's love, the power of infinite love of my identity made a difference in ways that I didn't see. Hearing me say that thing, it sounded like, Steve, well, you didn't do anything. Yeah. So every Sunday we say our oneness statement. So where are you on the belief in this statement as we read it? And what opportunities came your way to choose again, and what opportunities may be coming your way, who knows, right now or at some point. And as we say this statement together, let's say it with some willingness and openness to know that it is true, as we say together. The power of Christ's love now releases me from any sense of separation from spirit or others. There is only one presence and one power in my life and the universe. That one is God, the good, omnipotent. And we say thank you. And now we know that when we pray, we feel our heart go deeper.
When I pray,
I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. When I pray, I feel my soul go deeper, my soul go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my soul go deeper, my soul go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. When I pray, I feel my love go deeper, my love go deeper into my God. When I pray, I feel my love go deeper, my love go deeper into my God. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. Right here, right now, right where I am, I pray. When I pray, I feel my heart go deeper, my heart go deeper into my God.
As we take a breath, we pay attention to our heart and to our awareness of prayer. You know, every thought is a prayer. There's a beautiful song, Unity Classic, on that one. We are always praying. And so as we take a moment now and move into the deep silence, we have an awareness that there is a place everywhere where there is love, where there is power, where there is peace. Perhaps in our mind's eye, and in our heart and in our emotions, we're feeling some of the anguish, some of the despair, and perhaps even anger, or being numb to what seems to be unfolding in our world and in our country, perhaps in our own life, in ways that are beyond words sometimes. And as you have a part of yourself that is seeing you where you are, whether you're sitting down or standing watching this video, this live streaming, or wherever you might be, a part of you that's observing, that always is observing. It's a higher consciousness level. What is this observational self saying to you? Perhaps there's a word, perhaps there's a feeling, a knowingness. In this time, what is mine to do? Perhaps I can choose again and to choose to see myself responding rather than reacting in thought. And I extend thoughts of the beauty of each soul, realizing that what is not of love is but a call for love, and my willingness is to say, well, of course, I will respond in thoughts, words, perhaps deeds of love. Is it possible that we are here for this moment in time to be a part of an evolving world, a world that is awakening in ways that are beyond our ever knowing, awakening to their spiritual majesty, to one another's soul that is nothing but love? And as we have come to a place of some awareness with a few deep breaths and an awareness of oneness and awareness that there really is no separation at the level of spiritual truth, perhaps we can also move into unconditional compassion for others on their journey, whatever it may be. And compassion for ourselves, because when one is healed, all are healed. And will we have compassion for ourselves and our past experiences in this lifetime? Whatever we did or didn't do. And we move for a moment into the silence where we pay attention to any fear that we may have. In the silence, in the stillness, we know. As we shift our awareness back to the space that we're in, we give thanks for the sweet comfort that is ours. We give thanks for knowing that there is a oneness, there is a power within us that guides us, that leads us. And when we are not experiencing love, which usually is a call for love, we're feeling fear, it's either fear or love. If we knew what was inside us and what goes with us, we knew that fear would be impossible. When we see what the news seems to rejoice in giving us, about actions that generate fear around the globe. And as we look in the mirror and also recall some actions, some words, perhaps thoughts that we've had that are fear-based, can we make a choice this morning to realize that fear is impossible? Because I know who walks with me, in me, as me, and through me. Yes, I know. Fear is impossible.
You knew walks beside you, fear would be impossible. If you knew walks beside you, fear would be impossible. Do you know? Do you know? Do you know? Bringing a loved one to mind, sing it for them together. I know God walks beside you, and fear is impossible. I know God walks beside you, fear is impossible. Yes, I know. Sing it to ourselves now, to ourselves. I know God walks beside me, and fear is impossible. I know God walks beside me, and fear is impossible. Yes, I know. Hearts, we sing for all of us. We know God walks beside us, and fear is impossible. We know God walks beside us, fear is impossible. Yes, we know. Yes, we know that God
Thank you. Thank you both. You know, it's so, I don't know what to say. There's a Hawaiian song by one of my favorite Hawaiian groups, brothers Casimiro, two brothers, that have amazing voices, amazing harmony, and sing from the heart, and it's just beautiful. And there's one phrase, you know, that just struck me. When forever meets today. When forever meets today. So is there a belief you have? You've had spiritual principles perhaps over the years, and you've changed wording and so on. And before you knew it, you no longer thought about that principle and never did much about, is it really true anymore? Most unity principles, a lot of principles, have a lesson to teach us that talks about eternity. The soul living forever. When there's a memorial service, when someone moves on and make that transition, moving from one space, human form, to another, one of our teachings is that there is a place where they go that we may know not, and yet we have a belief that their essence exists eternally. Why? Because we believe in oneness. Why? Because we believe in unity of all consciousness, of all people everywhere, of all time. So that's forever. So when that's so forever, so we can get in these forever thoughts and have some wonderful beliefs about them, and then we wondered, like, well, there's too many events in my life to believe that. I mean, for example, when I was witnessing this protest last week, was I consciously thinking of when forever meets today? Not in those terms, but the sense of foreverness means that we are in touch with our own spiritual essence and therefore that of others. We see that in others. And so today, whatever's going on for you and for our society and for our planet, for humanity, is really calling for us to remember, well, what is forever? Is this experience, is my thought, my feeling, behavior of myself or others forever? So we hear from Mark, so I tell you, whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours. So one of the things that I'd like to chat with you all about today is affirmative prayer. And I think particularly with what's going on now, at least for me, as I begin to understand what affirmative prayer was about, that it's really important. It's not the only way to pray. One thing we teach over and over again, you cannot pray incorrectly. And some people get rather defensive because I've always prayed this way and I'm not going to change. Well, fine. I mean, who says? What I'm suggesting is there are other ways that unity has evolved with over the years. And the one that we now are with is called affirmative prayer. Affirmative prayer reflects the certainty that we are each being led to our highest good despite any temporary appearances. So in other words, will we affirm spiritual truth over any other truth in what seems to be happening in our life or in the lives of others? Will we affirm a spiritual truth in politics? It's hard to, at the moment, if someone is in your face or you in their face, having a discussion that begins to escalate, are you aware that perhaps you're not affirming spiritual principle? And will you have some compassion for yourself and maybe tone it down or back down? But will you have a belief that the highest good may not be a point of view? And you may never see your point of view embraced by a majority, for example. Does that mean that they're wrong and that you're right, or other way around? I don't know. But what are you going to do in the midst of pain? Yours and others, in the midst of it. You see on the slide, in the midst of pain, I affirm healing. In the midst of broken hearts, I affirm love. God is a presence of peace that knows no bounds. And then I know when I first began to hear affirmative prayer, it started with the daily word. And a lot of us that are part of Unity, you know the daily word, a little prayer pamphlet that is stunning for me. I for decades, 40 years, have not survived without reading the daily word most every day, because it's some spiritual truth that's very present and for me, powerful. The daily word, for years and decades, the wording was the inclusive. We, for example, I'm looking in July, I just opened this up to, July 25th. The word is happy. Within me is all that I need to be happy. And on that Sunday, I affirm truth for everyone I hold in prayer. And notice we're using the I statement to make it first person. And it used to be inclusive we. Within all of us is all that we need to be happy. We affirm the truth for everyone we hold in prayer. And that's one way to pray. And I will say, initially when we were moving in, the daily word was, and Unity teachings were beginning to move into, let's make it a first person, because each one of us have power. Our thoughts have co-creative power. Our words have power. And if we are making a statement for ourselves, it's incredibly powerful. So, affirmative prayer reflects the certainty that we are each being led to our highest good despite of any temporary appearances. And then, when we say an affirmative prayer, it is very, very powerful. Now, for example, one of our prayer team members, Elaine Lazda, I met her on Zoom the other night, and she is an amazing woman. And this prayer affirmation that she offered to the Unity community, I think is stunning. I mean, look at it. I deny the sense of separation. That uses also another Unity principle and teachings of denial, to deny that you feeling a sense of separation, you're going to wallow in that, or you're going to say, well, I deny that any sense of separation from spirit or others currently pervasive in our communities and nation, and I affirm the oneness of all beings with spirit and each other. That's beautiful. That's powerful. It's contagious. That's why we're here. So, have you thought about writing your own affirmation in the midst of all this corona and then all this racial and social justice pain and drama? Well, this is a good opportunity. You might think about it. Quite often, one sentence is all that we need. And you might go further if you wish, but using the first person pronoun. And I remember once a first cousin of mine, now retired as a Methodist bishop, a high mucky muck in Oklahoma. And we've had some real good talks. He is in many ways a Unity person in disguise. In fact, first time I ever heard him speak was maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. I just stopped into his church unannounced, and he didn't know I was coming. And he gave a lesson that was about 95% Unity. And I thought, this is cool. Unity's catching on. Or well, anyway. But it was. But we were talking, and we talked about the daily word, and he said, one thought I had about the daily word, someone that I showed it to, and he says, I'm not so much there, but this person said that it sounds like they're really very self-centered. I'll read another daily word affirmation. I celebrate my divine nature and nurture my very being. I celebrate my divine nature and nurture my very being. Does that call forth too much arrogance for you to say that to someone else, let alone to yourself? For me, it all depends about intention. So, a suggestion I have is to consider, pay attention to how you normally pray. And then years ago in the 70s, no, it wasn't that long ago. It was in the 90s. I discovered Robert and Janet Ellsworth, Unity Ministers, became real good friends of mine, and they wrote a book, and in that was, at the time, this was sort of brand new. We weren't even talking about this kind of stuff before. 4 universal approaches to prayer. And again, as we go over these approaches to prayer, I want to be clear that we're not judging and saying there's only one way to pray, folks. And for those of you that are prayer team folks or chaplains or whatever, what I've always suggested that chaplains learn, if you haven't learned prayer, is to learn it as part of your toolbox when you're supporting other folks, affirmative prayer. It's not, for people who've been around Unity forever, not necessarily there. But conversational prayers of authenticity and asking is one form of prayer. Praying for others with others and forgiving. And then there's contemplative prayer, like resting in the here and now, surrender, entering the silence, meditation. And then there's affirmative prayer. In some ways, the more traditional prayers that you hear most everywhere in the world, at least in the United States, from traditional Christianity, is talking to a presence of spirit of God that is external, and that God has been a force, a presence, and very, very traditionally, that God is the one that makes choices for us. God is the one that judges us. And so on and so on. And we know some traditional thinking that bring forth guilt for a lot of us is that, well, of course, you're just a worm of the earth. You haven't yet arrived. And so sometimes when we're really in pain, deep, deep pain, an instinct we have, no matter where we've been, is to ask for, or to beg, or to be on our knees for an essence that is beyond us, outside of us, to change us, because we haven't gotten to the point where we really embrace our divinity. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. I've been many times literally on my knees crying and sobbing and saying, God, take this from me, help me. And prayer works. There were answers. And then another form of prayer is praying for others. And we pray, quite often the words are, we pray to an external source to handle us, to heal them. And when we do it from a real strong heart sense, anything that you want to say as a prayer that comes from your heart is very, very powerful and has an impact. It's like a healing wave rolling throughout the universe. And same goes with forgiveness. And then contemplative prayer, all of us know the beauty and power, I believe, of centering moments. We do it quite often in a Sunday celebration service like this. And a lot of folks say, I wish we could take 10 or 20 minutes and be in a silence every single Sunday. Well, we could. And typically, that experience is, our call has been, for most of the time, on most Sundays, we come here to do some events and some experiences that for most people seem to be appropriate and something that they want. A lot of people aren't happy with, I don't know how long I do in a silence here, but it's probably somewhere between 1 or 2 minutes or 5 minutes, and some Unity churches go much further, and there's all different points of view about which do we do. So contemplative prayer is when we're in this silence and we consciously have made an intention, we're going to enter a period of sacredness. Whatever the words may be and whatever our process may be, sometimes it's with music, sometimes it's in a stillness with no audio sounds. And when we're in that kind of space, we're able to contemplate and able to have a receptivity that we normally haven't. And that's always been rather hard for me. Years ago, I learned, was reading about stress management, and that's when I was doing consulting and had a degree and all that, and working for places and companies and corporations and so on. And learning about stress management, it was talking about doing meditation or guided meditations. And especially when they begin to talk about move into the silence and still your mind, have your mind be like a blank TV screen. Well, I could do that, but my mind was never blank for more than maybe a millisecond. Monkey mind chatter, you know what that's about. And so one of the things I began to understand is that if I was committed to a contemplative practice, or any kind of prayer practice, actually, and my behaviors and my daily words look like that, and my daily actions look like that, then it was cumulative. The more I did that, the deeper and the more powerful the experience would be. And so I've also found, and I used to teach this, that you know what, you want to find a way to sabotage how well you are doing in meditation? By thinking you're not doing it right. Oh, I was big on that. I could beat myself easily on that. Well, everybody else must be doing it well. They're meditating all the time, and they look very peaceful. And here, I may look peaceful, but monkey mind chatter. So how do you stop yourself from believing that you know what contemplative prayer is or can do it? So last week, I showed this slide, Ho'oponopono, ancient Hawaiian healing practice. And I would have liked to set it up a little bit stronger than I did and set up a suggesting that you do. Last week I suggested that if you wish, you do 60 days of Ho'oponopono. It is affirmative. You can call it affirmative prayer if you wish. As I said last week on a slide, they start with, I love you, please forgive me, I am sorry, thank you. And you can go any way you want. The order is not what is of importance. But my suggestion is, with affirmative prayer, maybe it would be a Ho'oponopono, that you write this down. Maybe you write the words into your smartphone make yourself an appointment with you on a reoccurring meeting daily or weekly or whatever you're going to do, and or create a one-sentence affirmative prayer statement for you. And it might be for someone else that you're doing it with. But this meets up our unity principle of it's important that we put this into practice. There's one thing to talk about all this, and it's like, here we are in the midst of all this, and there's part of me that wanted to continue to dive into talking about what's happening around our country and in my life and in your life, in the life of this ministry, around racism and social justice and all that's up right now in huge ways. And yet, I think a gift that we can give each other is when we affirm what we believe is spiritually true, in spite of any appearance to the contrary. So what is spiritually true for you now, with a situation or situations or with people or yourself? And what is your guidance to do? And so, in closing, I want to offer one more of Elaine's very, very powerful but short affirmative prayer that she offered for everyone here in the congregation. The Christ in me guides me to speak my truth. Let's affirm that together. Together. The Christ in me guides me to speak my truth. That is so awesome. I see you doing it. I see you doing that. And as you do so, we'll walk this road and build this house on which we live. And it will be. It will be. It is because you are. God bless you.
Imagine life with nothing holding you back. Envision light emerging from the black. Predict this uphill climb is making you more free. And it will be project a movie with a happy ending. Cover a canvas with your hopes and dreams. Play the part of all the everyday heroes you see. And it will be we walk this road, we build this house in which we live. Hold up our heads, get what we have from what we give. Teach our children well who we are and what we do. Create a new planet with every wound we pass through. And it will be compose an instrumental vision board. Shop at the eternal abundance store. Surf the web of infinite possibility. And it will be we walk this road, we build this house in which we live. Hold up our heads, get what we have from what we give. Teach our children wealth, who we are and what we do. Create a new planet with every wound we pass through. And it will be. And it will be. Adorn your walls with captured vibrancy. March down the halls with all your energy. Inspire a friend to find her creativity. And it will be we walk this road, we build this house in which we live. Hold up our heads, get what we have from what we give. Teach our children wealth, who we are and what we do. Create a new planet with every wound we pass through. And it will be. And it will be. And it will be. And it will be.
Pete, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
Create a new planet with every wound we pass through. When did you write that?
I think about 6 years ago.
About 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Whoa, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. It's so amazing. So now is a time in our service where we move into a place of giving, and sometimes we let our wounds prevent us from giving through sources of spiritual food. It sometimes happens. But if we invite you now, what would your answer be? To come to a place as you rest in your heart where you have an instinct to give to places that support you spiritually. That might be Unity Church in Albany and or other places. And so if that's the case for you, then affirm with me, please, our offertory statement. Together. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. We are blessed to know that Spirit is our source. Thank you, Father, Mother, God, and so it is. Amen.
I dreamed of rain, and the rain
dreamed of summer and the winds changed and peace spread over the land.
I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose and the way was easy and the path was clear. I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose
And peace spread over the land.
and the guardian stars are shining and the light is bright and clear.
I dreamed of freedom and the moon rose and peace spread over the land. I dream of heaven and the earth sang. The sound was easy and the song was clear. I dream of heaven and the earth sang, and peace spread over the land.
And the ancient pain is forgiven, and all our debts are clear.
I dreamed of heaven and the earth sang, and peace spread over the land. And I dreamed of rain, and the rains came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain, and the rains came, and peace spread over the land.
And the flowers bloom in the deserts, and the air is fresh and clear.
I dreamed of rain, and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain, and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain, and the rains came.
Oh, thank you. That's so beautiful. So what is our dream? I dreamed of, and peace spread over the land, spread over our lives, spread over our country, our world. We give thanks for the gifts that have been given to Unity Church in Albany. We accept them with deep humility and gratitude to support this ministry as we move forth to do the will and the work of all of us and of Spirit and of the Christ. And so it is. Amen. Well, every Sunday we are now affirming that we are blessing the children of the world. And we're inviting everyone to hold in their hearts and in their mind's eye a youth of the world. And if you have any pictures of your child or children, and you'd like to have them include them on the big board here, just send an email to us, and we might make sure that you are a person, a parent, or whatever. You can make some. We can do that. So, but we affirm for our this blessing for our children, because even though we don't have children right now in this space, they are on their way, and we bless everyone on the planet that is a child, and we also realize that children, by their very essence, are blessing us. And so we say this blessing first to our youth as we hold them in our heart and mind, and then we pause in a silence as we hear them say it back to us. So we say a blessing for our youth together. God loves you and accept you just the way you are, and I love you and accept you just the way you are. I behold the Christ you are. Now it's your turn, youth. We say, amen. We're so grateful for this time together. And so grateful for everyone that helps make this Sunday experience possible. We have Ron is sort of new with audio visual back there. And we have Terry, both you guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. And, of course, our music team. And we know there's other people on the music team that because of Corona, we're not able to cram a lot of people in here. But we'll hold the vision of doing something with that someday. Maybe we'll rent a tabernacle and have 200. Well, never mind. Let's don't go there. But we're also going to be affirming peace on earth. And this is a really very powerful song that is discovered in Unity churches back in the 80s and 90s. I'm not sure what exact years. But let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. And so when we sing these songs, this anthem, this affirmative prayer, hold in your mind's eye that where with you will peace begin on earth? What are intentions that you have? You have situations, people, thoughts, whatever it might be. And we say this together because our words have creative power. As we sing a peace song, let there be peace on earth. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Have a fantastic, wonderful, joyous week. God bless you all.
Hey, come back for 7 o'clock tonight.
7 o'clock tonight.
One song service. And we're going to close with a little, this is an old song from maybe the 30s and 40s by Johnny Mercer and Harold Arlen.
Yes, yes.
Like a lot of those songs, there's a little verse part that starts it that you don't usually hear. I'm going to try that because it's kind of fun. Gather round me, everybody. Yeah, gather round me while I preach some. I feel a sermon coming on me. The topic will be sin, and that's what I'm again. If you want to hear my story, just settle back and you sit tight while I start reviewing the attitude of doing right. You got to accept got to spread joy up to the maximum. Bring gloom down to the minimum. Have faith or pandemonium, liable to walk upon the sea. To illustrate my last remark, Jonah in the whale, Noah in the ark. What did they do just when everything seemed so dark? Man, they said we got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, and latch on to the affirmative. Don't mess with Mr. In Between. To illustrate my last remark, Jonah in the whale, Noah in the ark. What did they do just when everything seemed so dark? Man, they said we got to accentuate the positive, eliminate the negative, latch on to the affirmative. Don't mess with Mr. In Between. That's right. Don't mess with Mr. In Between. Have a great week.
Blessings to everybody.